Sometimes life doesn't come at you with fists. It comes with words, looks, manipulations. Sometimes the real fights are the ones nobody sees. And in those battles, it's not muscle that wins. It's mindset. It's presence. It's power that doesn't shout. It just stands there, unshaken. You see, the first thing you need to know about bullies is this: they don't attack strength. They attack silence that feels like fear. They attack kindness that doesn't know where its edge is. They poke at people not to fight, but to feel strong. Because deep down, a bully is nothing but a wounded ego on stilts, tall from the outside, hollow from within. I've been there. Maybe you have too. That moment when someone looks at you like you don't belong, when they speak down to you like your worth is on sale, when they test your boundaries just to see if you'll fold. But here's what they never saw coming. The moment you turned around, the moment you stood still, the moment you stopped giving them what they came for, because bullies feed on a very specific energy. They look for reaction. They crave fear. They hunt uncertainty. And so the most powerful move you'll ever make is not to give them the very thing they're looking for. Let me tell you something right now. You do not need to raise your voice to raise your power. You do not need to strike first to finish the fight. You do not need to become like them to defeat them. No, all you need is to know who you are. That's where it begins. Not in a gym, not with a comeback, but with this silent truth forged in fire. You are not here to be anybody's target. You walk this life with dignity. And the moment you decide to carry yourself with that truth, everything around you begins to shift. Even the bully can feel it. Bullies aren't afraid of fists. They're afraid of people who don't flinch, people who look them in the eye and don't move. Not out of defiance, but out of control, out of calm, because calm is terrifying to chaos. Stillness is a mirror that shows them who they are. And when you stop reacting, they start reflecting. Let's get real. Maybe you've been in a classroom or a boardroom or a family that doesn't treat you right. Maybe you've walked into places where people looked at you and said, "You don't belong here." But they were wrong. They mistook your peace for passivity. They mistook your kindness for compliance. They mistook your silence for weakness, but they didn't see the storm you were holding back. They didn't see the lessons you were learning behind those calm eyes. They didn't see the power you were building, one breath at a time. And now they're about to see the shift. You don't need to fight for your worth. You need to carry it. Let it walk in the room before you do. Let it sit in your eyes, live in your voice, rise from your shoulders. Because when you carry yourself with quiet confidence, not cockiness confidence, people start to notice. Not the kind of confidence that says I'm better than you, but the kind that says, I know who I am. I know what I deserve. I don't play small. And that energy, it speaks louder than any punch, louder than any insult, louder than any threat. It says, you can try me, but I promise you won't like the outcome. That's the beginning of turning the tables. You don't match their chaos with chaos. You don't answer weakness with weakness. You answer it with calm. You answer it with presence. You answer it by being so centered, so grounded, that the bully can't shake you because you don't need to shake them. You just need to stand and not move. And when you master that, You don't have to push anyone away. They back off themselves because real power, it doesn't chase respect. It demands it silently. If you want a bully to back off, don't waste your energy screaming for respect. Command insolently. Before you ever speak a word, your body is already having the conversation. So the first step to turning the tables is mastering the signals. Let's start with the eyes. Because your eyes, they're not just windows to the soul. They're weapons of psychological warfare. Look, but do not stare. Hold, but do not challenge. When you look someone in the eye and your gaze is calm, still unshaken, that alone can shake a bully to the core. Why? Because most bullies are used to seeing one of two things: fear or fire. They either want to see you shrink or explode. What they don't expect is presence. That steady look that says, I see you and I'm not moved. Let them search your face for fear and find none. Let them try to provoke your pride and watch you stay grounded. You see, the calm eye is not empty. It's filled with quiet power. And when your eyes send that message, everything else follows. Next, your posture. Forget everything Hollywood taught you about confidence. This isn't about puffing up your chest or throwing your chin in the air like a prize fighter. That's not strength. That's insecurity in a costume. Real posture, it's tall but relaxed, solid but not stiff, feet planted, spine straight, chin level, eyes forward. You don't lean in to challenge and you don't lean back to run. You stand, rooted. Imagine there's an invisible thread pulling the top of your head upward. Your chin stays level, not raised, not dropped, because the arrogant man tilts his head high, but the wise man levels his gaze. And the grounded man, he doesn't need height. He is the mountain. Walk into a room like gravity works differently for you. Let people feel your stillness before they hear your voice. Because stillness speaks. Stillness says, I know who I am. I don't need to prove it. Then there's your voice. A bully expects you to mumble, to stutter, to lose control, to rise in pitch when you speak, to get flustered and defensive. So here's your counterpunch. Speak slow, speak low, speak clear, not robotic, not fake, just calm, just centered. When someone tries to provoke you and your voice doesn't rise, that's power. When you set a boundary and your voice doesn't tremble, that's unshakable power. And when you tell someone that's not acceptable with calm certainty, suddenly they don't feel as big as they thought they were. You don't need volume to carry weight. You need certainty. And certainty isn't loud, it's anchored. Let me be clear about something. This is not about trying to intimidate. This is not about putting on a show. It's about alignment. Your eyes, your body, your voice, they all say the same thing. I am not to be played with. That's not arrogance. That's self-respect. And when the world sees that you respect yourself, the game changes. But what if someone still pushes? What if the bully still throws that verbal jab, that sarcastic dig, that dismissive laugh? Here's where most people mess up. They react. They jump in with emotion. They throw words like punches and hope to land one. Don't fall into that trap. When you've mastered the signals, you don't need to throw the first punch. You let the weight of your presence do the talking. You smile just a little. You look them in the eye just enough. You say, "Are you done?" And let the silence hang. Because silence, when you own it, is deafening. It forces them to hear themselves, and nothing scares a bully more than the sound of their own weakness echoing back at them. So don't underestimate the power of strong eye contact, of solid posture, of a calm voice that doesn't waver. These aren't tricks. These are tools. And when you learn to use them with precision, you'll watch something amazing happen. The bullies start second guessing their target. They start feeling smaller without you lifting a finger. Because real presence doesn't push, it pulls. If you want to win the game, you have to understand the rules. And when it comes to bullies, there is a game being played. Even if it looks chaotic, even if it feels personal, there's a pattern underneath. And once you see it, you can break it. Let's be real. Bullies don't act from strength. They act from lack of power, lack of control, lack of internal worth. So what do? They reach out and try to steal it from you, from the quiet ones, from the ones still learning how to stand. They poke, they prod, they look for cracks. Because if they can shake you, they can feel powerful, if only for a moment. But here's the truth they don't want you to know. It's all fake. Every insult, every shove, every game of intimidation, it's a mask for fear. Fear of not being enough, fear of being exposed, fear that someone someday will see through the act. Well, guess what? You just did. You see them now, and that means you're no longer playing defense. You're in control. Bullies operate off a system, and the first part of that system is testing. They test your reactions, a snide comment, a sarcastic laugh, a dismissive glance. They watch how you respond, not what you say, but how you feel. Do you flinch? Do you get angry? Do you try to please them? Because if you do, you just handed them the keys. Bullies don't pick fights randomly. They hunt for emotional leverage. They thrive on your reaction. So here's your first power move. Starve them. Starve them of the reaction they create. Stay calm. Stay unmoved. Let your stillness become a mirror to their chaos. Next, understand the role of shame in their psychology. Most bullies live with deep shame, whether they know it or not. And shame needs an outlet. So what do? They project it. They look for someone to carry it for them, someone to blame, someone to hurt. But here's the key. Shame is like a hot coal. They try to toss it to you, hoping you'll hold it, hoping you'll own it. Don't. If they call you weak, smile. If they call you weird, agree. If they try to shame, you refuse to carry it. Because when you show them that their shame can't live inside you, they start to realize they're still stuck with it. And that's the beginning of your power. Now, here's the most dangerous part of the game. Escalation. When bullies lose control, they often escalate. They double down, get louder, get nastier, try harder to pull you into their emotional chaos. This is where most people fall. They lose their center. They meet fire with fire. And suddenly, the bully wins. Don't play their game. Change the rules. When they escalate, you de-escalate. Not by backing down, but by becoming even more still, even more calm, even more controlled. Because the more chaotic they become, the more foolish they look standing next to your composure. This is how you break the cycle. You don't defeat a bully by becoming one. You defeat a bully by refusing to enter their arena. You turn their performance into a mirror so they can finally see how small they've become. And don't forget, sometimes the biggest bully is the one in your own head, the one telling you you're not good enough, not strong enough, not ready. Well, here's the truth. You don't have to be perfect to stand tall. You just have to be present, grounded, centered in your own worth. Every time you choose calm over chaos, you build that worth. Every time you set a boundary with grace, you claim more space in your own life. And every time you see through the bully's game, you become the one they can't touch. Not because you fought harder, but because you stood stronger. Sometimes the loudest power is the one that doesn't speak. Not every battle needs words. Not every insult needs a response. And not every bully deserves your energy. There is a level of power that doesn't shout, it radiates. It doesn't beg to be seen. It commands attention through presence alone. This is the art of strategic silence. And when used right, it's the one thing every bully fears the most. Because silence is not weakness. It's not surrender. It's not avoidance. Silence, true silence, says confidence without performance. Here's what most people don't realize. Bullies feed on noise. They throw words like weapons, waiting for the clash. They live for the reaction, the argument, the tears, the shouting match. That's how they win. Not because they're right, but because they got inside your mind. So, how do you flip the script? How do you reclaim control without uttering a word? You stand still, you lock eyes, and you let the silence speak for you. Imagine this. A bully walks up. He throws a verbal grenade, insults your clothes, your past, your worth. He expects the usual, an emotional mess, a defensive rant. But you stay still. You meet his eyes and you say nothing. No reaction, no retreat, just calm, focused presence. That silence is louder than any comeback because it does something terrifying. It forces the bully to face himself. Let me break this down for you. Silence creates a vacuum. And in that vacuum, truth echoes. It forces the other person to fill the gap, to hear their own words, to confront their own insecurity. That's why silence is so uncomfortable for the weak. Because in silence, the mask slips. If you respond with anger, they win. If you respond with fear, they win. But when you respond with presence, they panic. It's like looking into a mirror that reflects their own brokenness. But here's the key. Silence without strength is just passivity. Silence without posture is invisibility. So how do you make silence into a weapon? You combine it with strong body language, grounded eye contact, intentional breathing. Stand tall, feet shoulder width apart. Imagine roots growing into the ground beneath you. Relax your shoulders. Keep your jaw soft, your breath steady. Then, when a bully steps up, you don't flinch. You don't blink. You just hold space because your silence says what words can't. I see you. I'm not afraid, and I don't need to prove anything. Now, silence doesn't just neutralize a bully. It teaches everyone around you what true power looks like. In a world that screams for attention, the one who doesn't need to shout stands out the most. You become a symbol of restraint, of control, of unshakable presence. And let me tell you something. That's the kind of strength that shifts rooms. It's the kind of strength that makes bullies question their next move, because deep down, they know anyone who can face chaos without blinking is not someone to mess with. Here's a final truth. Not every bully walks away because you fought back. Sometimes they walk away because they realize there's nothing they can take from you. Not your peace, not your presence, not your power. That's what strategic silence gives you. The ability to turn confrontation into clarity, to turn intimidation into self-mastery, to turn the tables without lifting a single finger. Confidence is not given. It's built brick by brick, layer by layer. And once it's solid, nothing, not even a bully, can shake it. You want to stop bullies? You don't start with your fists. You start with your foundation. Because the truth is this: a bully doesn't just target weakness. He smells uncertainty. He looks for cracks. And when he finds it, he presses. He pokes. He prods. But if you build a wall within yourself, strong, unmoving, aligned with truth, there's nothing for him to push against. So how do you build unshakable confidence? It begins in 4 stages. 1, know who you are. The first step to confidence is self-awareness. Not what others say about you, not what the world expects of you, but what you believe you are. Write it down. Define your strengths. Acknowledge your flaws. Own your journey. When you know who you are, you stop living for validation. And the moment you stop needing approval, bullies lose their grip. 2, master one skill, then another. Confidence isn't just mindset. It's proof. Pick one skill and master it. Public speaking, martial arts, drawing, coding, cooking. When you become good at something, you realize, hey, I'm not powerless. And then you stack another skill and another, and suddenly the person you used to doubt becomes someone you respect. That inner respect, that's your armor. 3, take care of your body. You want to walk into a room and command respect, it starts with how you carry yourself. Take care of your sleep. Eat right. Move daily. Train your posture. When your body feels strong, your mind follows. You'll notice it. You'll speak slower. Stand taller. Make better eye contact. Because your body isn't just your vehicle, it's your message. 4, keep promises to yourself. This one's the real game changer. Every time you say, I'll wake up early, I'll stop scrolling, I'll stand up for myself, and you actually do it. You build a reputation with the most important person in your life, you. Confidence doesn't come from applause. It comes from self-trust. And the day you become someone who trusts themselves, no bully, no critic, no toxic voice will ever shake you again. You see, when you walk in confidence, you no longer look like prey. You become someone with gravity, someone people want to follow, even bullies. Because bullies don't mess with the grounded. They prey on the lost, the unsure, the ones still searching for their reflection in others' eyes. But you found yours already. You know who you are, what you stand for, and what you'll never tolerate again. The goal isn't to become someone feared. It's to become someone respected, not because of loud words or violent hands, but because of quiet mastery. The kind of person who doesn't need to prove anything because their presence already says everything. That's who you're becoming. And once you're that person, bullies won't back you into a corner because you'll stop letting them draw the lines in your life. You'll step forward. You'll hold your space. And if they come looking for weakness, they'll find nothing but steel. Respect is not given automatically. It's earned. But more importantly, it's demanded. And the way you demand respect is by setting boundaries so clear, no one ever dares to cross them. Boundaries are your invisible fences. They tell the world where you start and where you stop. They protect your peace, your dignity, your energy. And when you master boundaries, you change the game. Let me tell you something most people don't get. Bullies don't respect softness. They don't respect kindness without strength. They respect limits. When you say no, you're not being rude. You're not being selfish. You're protecting your kingdom. So how do you set boundaries that stick? Start with these three essentials. 1, be clear and consistent. If you're wishy-washy, bullies will walk all over you. Make your limits crystal clear. Say what you mean what you say. When someone crosses the line, call it out immediately. Don't wait. Don't make excuses. Your boundary isn't a suggestion, it's a rule. 2, use I statements. This is powerful because it puts you in charge of your feelings, not the other person. Say, I don't like it when you talk to me that way. I feel disrespected when you raise your voice. I need space when I'm upset. When you speak from your experience, it's harder for others to argue, and it keeps the focus on respect. 3, follow through every time. The most important part of boundary setting is action. If someone disrespects your boundary, you must respond, even if it's just walking away, even if it's just ending the conversation. The moment you let a boundary slide, you teach people it's okay to ignore you. Here's the truth. Bullies push boundaries because they can. They test, they prod, they provoke. But when you stand firm, when your boundaries are non-negotiable, you take away their power, because bullies don't want resistance. They want easy prey. Let me leave you with this. Respect is not a favor you ask for. It's a standard you set. And when you live by that standard, you don't just stop bullies. You transform your entire life. You become someone who moves through the world with confidence, someone whose peace can't be stolen, and someone who is never, ever an easy target again. Every fight with a bully is not just about winning the moment. It's about owning your story, taking control of your past, your present, your future, because the strongest weapon you have isn't your fist, your words, or your stance. It's your truth. You see, bullies want to trap you in shame. They want you to carry their judgments like chains. But what if you could break those chains? What if you could tell your story on your terms? Not as a victim, but as a survivor, a warrior. Here's how you do it. 1, accept what happened, then let it go. You can't change the past, but you can change how it defines you. Say to yourself, this happened to me, but it does not control me. Face the pain, the hurt, the fear, acknowledge it, and then release it. 2, rewrite your narrative. Stop telling yourself stories like, I'm weak, they're stronger, I'll never be safe. Replace those lies with truth. I am strong, I am worthy, I control my life. Your mind will believe what you feed it. Feed it strength, Feed it courage, feed it victory. 3, walk away with your head high. Sometimes the best fight is no fight. Walking away doesn't mean you lost. It means you're wise. You choose your battles, and you refuse to be dragged into someone else's chaos. Remember, bullies thrive on reaction. When you walk away calm and confident, you take away their power. 4, use your story to empower others. Your experience is your gift. Share it. Help someone else who's stuck in that dark place. Lift them up. Show them the path out. When you transform your pain into purpose, you become unstoppable. The final truth: no bully can define you unless you let them. You have the power to turn the tables, to rewrite the script, to become the person who stands tall, walks proud, and lives free. So stand up, look forward, own your story, and know this: you are more than your past. You are stronger than any bully, and your future is yours to command. Thank you for walking this journey. Now go out there and make them regret ever underestimating you.